Okay, we're at speed. Okay, 2 seconds.
Perfect, yeah.
And...
Is that awkward? We're good to go? Perfect. My first question was just going to be, normally at this kind of stage of promoting a film, people are still kind of wondering what people think of it, whereas with Shame, you've had 3, 4, 5 months of people saying, this is a masterpiece. What's it like still talking about it? Are you kind of sick of people telling you how amazing it is?
No. It's one of those things. Look, it's people are saying how great it is, but also there are some people who are not saying how great it is. I mean, there's a small percentage which is kind of loud too. Right. But that's kind of film I want to make. It's not, if I made a film like which is sort of it's about sex. Yeah. It's about sexual addiction. And I think it's one of those things where it's a difficult subject to fathom, difficult subject to sort of to deal with, but it's all about us. Yeah. And sometimes what we see isn't particularly pretty. Yeah. But I'm grateful for the attention and for the acclaim, absolutely. But it is a film about us, so sometimes one doesn't like what they see. Yeah. And it is interesting that the people that haven't liked it, i.e. the kind of religious right and so forth, and saying that it should be banned and so forth, given that actually you would think it would actually go along with what they believe, which is that that this kind of constant influx of sex everywhere can lead to a form of addiction and obsession. Well, I think there's a lot of sort of hypocritical sort of conversations going on as well, because we're dealing with it's about what one person says, one person does is another thing, isn't it? Yeah. So it's one of those things. It's just a difficult subject for people to sort of deal with, but at the same time, it's a one that's happening now. Yeah. And as Michael rightly said, it's a phenomenon, and it's 24 million people claim to be sexual addicts in the United States, but it's not being sort of officially recognised. It's kind of amazing. Yeah. And was that the first process for you when you first kind of read a stat like that you kind of thought that this would make an interesting subject? Or? No, it was more to do with my speaking to Abby Morgan and us coming up. Well, she had this conversation with me, and we started talking about the internet, and then started talking about pornography on the internet, of course, and then ended up with sex addiction, sexual addiction, and that was the seed of the idea. Yeah, and Michael, I'm guessing you were obviously keen to work with Steve again after Hunger, and I imagine it was just an amazing creative process. What was it like when you first saw the script, and did you at any point kind of worry that it was too strong or too difficult a subject matter? No, because Steve told me about it back in 2008, and there wasn't even a script at that point. Right. I don't think there was there? No, there wasn't. No script. So I agreed to do it then. I mean, I sort of said, it seemed like an interesting and relevant topic matter. I think, like we said before, when Abby and Steve sort of went out and sort of tried to sort of talk about the subject matter, it was in the media around at the time, and nobody was sort of really fully sort of tackling it or investigating it as such in the sort of film world. But it was bubbling around in the media, and this idea of internet pornography and sort of relationship with sex and sort of the modern day relationships that are happening, especially in sort of cities landscapes. But so I thought it was an interesting topic matter. I didn't know how sort of seriously to take it, of course, because you don't know. You think, okay, sex addiction, and then you start to sort of do the research and you start to talk to people, and then you realize just how devastatingly real it is, and how it does affect so many people. And when I read the script, I had sort of 2 years to sort of mull over myself what this character might be sort of going through and the situations that he might be in. So I was prepared for what was in the script. The first thing that did strike me about the script was I thought it was a beautifully told story. I really did care for all the characters involved, and I really did like Brandon. Yeah. I felt for him because he's somebody that is he's trying. Yeah. He's not just sort of strolling through these escapades. He is aware that it's damaging on him, and that he's got sort of unhealthy relationships around him. So I thought it was very eloquently told.
and very respectful when I read it.
Absolutely, it is beautiful. And the amazing thing about the character is that you do, you know, no matter what he does, you can't take your eyes off him, but you also love him. You do feel a kind of kinship to him, and worry about him as a viewer. I mean, I found the film absolutely, you know, transfixing. I couldn't get it out of my mind for days and days afterwards, and has put me off internet porn for life. My wife says thank you.
Okay.
Sorry, maybe too much.
That just came out.
Yeah,
That's not true.
And how do you feel about the Oscar buzz and things like that? I mean, does that kind of thing annoy you? Do you think it's a negative thing when it comes too early, or do you
look?
like?
I just think for a film like this to get that kind of attention is marvelous, because it's one of those films which was a film that and a lot of people said, you know, don't do it or you can't be done. And, you know, I'm just very grateful for it, really. And I think, you know, how people are recognizing Michael and Kerry's performance and the film, actually, I think it's you know, from when we started, we never thought about that at all. No. So it's amazing.
Yeah.
No, it's really encouraging, you know, regardless of what happens, you know, I mean, the sort of position that we're in right now with the film, I mean, just the way the sort of public are embracing it, you know, sort of, just the sort of regular punter who goes to buy a ticket, you know, to go see a film, you know, that is what, you know, you start off with an idea, and, you know, obviously Steve came with the idea, it seemed important to him, and a story worth telling, and then, of course, you know, all the various sort of factors that come along, myself, Kerry, Sean Bobbitt, you know, people think, wow, this means something, doesn't it? But you never know. And then you send it out and you're like, okay, other people do think perhaps, you know, that this means something. So it's very encouraging.
And we get actors like, you know, James Badgedale, Nicole Bahari, sort of coming in and just sort of transforming the whole film again in another way. So it's just amazing. It was an amazing ensemble. Led by Michael.
Really is. But then, of course, at the head of the ensemble, you have the creative partnership of the two of you, and obviously people are making the Scorsese De Niro comparisons. Are you going to obviously continue working together? And if so, what would you like to do next together? Whose decision is it? This is the telling thing.
We're going to do a musical.
Yeah, apparently. Yeah, we'll do a musical.
A musical, yeah. A really upbeat musical.
Yeah, extravaganza.
Perfect.
Die Hard meets Moulin Rouge.
True.
That I would pay to see. Guys, thank you very much for your time. It's genuinely an honour to meet you both.
Thank you very much.